Okay, good evening, everyone. Today we are going to start programming ESP8266 with in a different environment. Today morning we saw it how to program it using Arduino, and now we will see how to program it in a different environment and what that environment would be. Uh, it would be a custom environment that is more suited for educational institution rather than professional people, professional builders. So we will see that. So for the last 2 days, we were trying to log into the remote shell, do a reverse SSH, and access hardware on the other side of a network, which is not publicly accessible. We will extend that idea today and see how we can optimize that so that over the internet, using low bandwidth, we can uh, provide access to the students. This approach has two benefits. One of them is uh, students don't have to install proprietary software, or they don't have to install too many softwares. You give them, they can access the software which you have installed on your system. On in this case, it would be Raspberry Pi. So let me give you a glimpse of what kind of physical system we are having here. So I will lower down the camera. And you can see here, this is our Raspberry Pi, and through it, using a USB cable, we have connected it to this USB hub. Uh, I think it's glare would be too much for you to visualize it, so I will be using a filter. So I think yes, it's more effective now. So I'm using a polarizing filter for so that, but it has to be set at an angle. Okay, so now using this polarizing filter, now you can cut the glare. So this is our Raspberry Pi. This is a Raspberry Pi version 4 with 4 GB of RAM. This is the powered USB hub, and it is drawing power from the AC outlet uh, and sending data through USB cable back to the Raspberry Pi. And to these USB, to this powered USB hub, we have connected right now 4 ESP8266 boards. One of them is that we programmed today in the morning, and rest are new boards, so we haven't tested them yet. So we will see. uh, okay, ठीक है. So this is what we are going to do today. We are going to access this along with their programming software from the other side of the network. So now we'll move back. Okay. Okay, let me log on to the Google Meet also, so that if there are some queries or something like that, I can access that. Okay, so now I'm on Google Meet too. So if you have something to say, you can do that. And side by side, I will also open. So we have public key from one of the participants, and today we will give them access. Uh, However, there's a little change of plan since not many people followed that, so we will be doing it a little in a little different way. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to log on to my Raspberry Pi. Uh, it is connected to my local LAN, so I'm using its IP address. You can see it. Uh, it's 192.168.1.6, and I'm forwarding it the X server also so that I can get a graphical interface too. Okay, so I'm logged into my Raspberry Pi. So this is my this home directory of Raspberry Pi, and simultaneously, okay. So now I'm logged on to TP server and my local Raspberry Pi, and if you want, you can follow it using Moba Xterm, or still better if you install PuTTY. Uh, that will give you more flexibility in accessing the hardware because it supports more protocols than Moba Xterm. However, Moba Xterm is a little bit easier to use, and so we will see. So this first step was to uh, SSH onto the remote server, and we have seen that we can do that. So we have crossed step one. Now the second thing that we are going to do is to create reverse SSH account, and to create a reverse SSH account, you have to choose. We know that SSH by default runs on port 22, but for reverse SSH, we have to choose a port uh, which is higher than 5600. So, which these are the ports which are not usually restricted. So we will choose a port number which is much higher in the order, and you won't need root access or administrative access to do that. So most of the service providers, they leave it that way because they are not such a big security threat. And next thing, so let me first clarify what is machine A. So here it says make sure you can do regular SSH from B to A. So B in this case is your computer, and A is the Atal server that is having a public IP address. So A is the server having public IP address. B is any machine which is behind network address translation. So the computer which is not directly accessible to the network. You cannot access its IP address directly from internet. So we are going to bridge that. So I can say remember that A is server with public IP address. Now we will be creating a reverse SSH tunnel, and for that we have to first change this file. The file is on etc/ssh/ssd_config. So now I show you how to change. Uh, okay. So we are going to use Nano Text Editor to edit. Sorry, first of all, since I don't have super user access on it, I have to exit from it and would log in to the public server using my root access. Now, this didn't ask for a password. That's great, since we have already set up the key-based login. So we are going to do nano/etc/ SSH/. So we are going to change this file. We are already in the text editor, and in this text file /etc/ssh/ssd_config, we have to find a line which says gateway ports. So let's see, where is this gateway port? Okay. Okay, so here is this line, gateway ports, and by default, it is no. So what we are going to do here is we will turn this value. First of all, we will uncomment this line because all the commented lines are ignored in the configuration. And now we will say yes here. And then we will write this file Control O and then Control X. So what we have done now so far is we have changed this configuration file for SSH daemon to yes, or where the parameter is gateway ports to yes. And now from machine B, we have to issue this command. What this command is doing is SSH hyphen minus F, hyphen F. Hyphen F is directive for port forwarding a port, and the port to which we are forwarding is slash, 1000 10,022 from localhost port number 22, and the username on A, on machine A. That means on the public IP address server, what would be the username to which we are going to SSH. So this will create a tunnel, and that would do it. So let's see. Here what we are going to do is from Raspberry Pi, since it is behind the network address, we are going to do this. The username here is root. Sorry, I will be using my actual username, that Ravi at the rate atal.academy. And for the first time, since we haven't established connection before, it's the first time we are establishing a connection. So it's asking us whether we can verify the authenticity of the host. So we can, since it's our own server. So we will say yes. And then it will ask for our password for the account on the public IP server. So for the Ravi's account on atal.academy, I will enter the password, and that's done. Now, now the third step that, sorry, the second part of the second step. Now we have to SSH username B, that is the user which is on Raspberry Pi, but I will be accessing it through the public address. This username does not exist on the public server, remember. So this username is actually from the Raspberry Pi, but I will be using it that way and see what happens. So instead of this, I will say pi at the rate atal.academy. Just a minute, my Okay, for now, I will exit from this. I've logged out of the system. I will to make you. So you can see we are having these many uh, users on our server. Nowhere is there a user named Pi. As you can see on the this Atal server, nowhere there is a user named Pi. So the closest we have is Pinky. You can see. So we don't have a user named Pi here. Okay, I think I have to. Okay, sorry. Uh, yes, I got the problem. Once we have made changes to the SSD file, we have to restart, refresh that service. Otherwise, sorry, I was. So I would rather do. Okay, let's see if we can do that now. Still not able to do that. Why? Okay, just let me check my configuration for a while. एक Okay, so we have sorted that out. Actually, the port was being blocked, so I will show you how to do it again. Okay, so uh, this time we are using slightly different version of that. We are reverse tunneling on port number 9999. So instead of that earlier command from the Raspberry Pi to the public server, we are using this command. If it is visible, so we would be issuing this from Raspberry Pi to connect to the Atal server. And when we give it this command, it will show us so many things, and ultimately will ask for our password for the account Ravi on the atal.academy's domain. So we will enter our password, and once we enter our password, we are into it. And now from our third machine, that means from my laptop, now I am connecting to SSH. I am SSHing to user pi at atal.academy on port 9. Since we have changed the port, so now I am connecting to that. But remember that user pi does not exist on atal.academy. So what happens? So it is asking me for the password. We have to give the password of Pi account on the Raspberry Pi. And look, we have logged into the Raspberry Pi. This Raspberry Pi is behind the network, behind this netted network, behind the firewall. This network is not accessible to the internet. But what we are doing now, we are accessing this Raspberry Pi from outside. So if any of you want to access this Raspberry Pi, they can message me in this chat window, and I will make a account on I will forward this port for your account on the Atal server. You will log into the Pi account here, similarly as I did, uh, and you will be logged into it. So if anyone is interested, let me know in the chat box. If he has been able to log into his SSH server on the Atal Academy, he would be able to do it. So I will forward this account to your account. So if anyone is interested, just message your user ID. Uh, l- okay, so so since Vanna madam sent us okay, rather I would exit from this account. So right now, since I have connected these ESP boards to the Raspberry Pi, so what I would be doing is I have created 4 accounts for these 4 ESP boards on this Raspberry Pi. And okay, okay. Now I'm setting up access for Vanna ma'am. She can log into the Raspberry Pi if she wants to, and she will be presented with that she can directly interact with the ESP boards here, uh, and she can even, I think, since X is forwarded, she can even get the Thorny IDE on her machine. So since she might won't have installed Thorny yet, so but still she can get that because it's installed here. So that is how you can access softwares and hardware on this remote machine, on this machine behind local area network through the internet. So give me a moment. If you, I will set up the access for her. If anyone else wants to have access, since we have 4 of these ESP boards here, so if anyone else wants to have access, they can say. So that was all for to show for today. I will leave this hardware as it is, and if anyone wants to access it for the entire day, they can do it, and just message me that a particular username. Since we are having only 4 machines set up today, uh, we could have set up all the ESP boards, but the problem is whatever you are doing, like you are blinking LEDs through coding, so you won't be able to see that the camera that we have will be able to show only these limited, because we have only that much of space on this table. So we have set up only four of those. However, if you want, you can do this with great many numbers, since, as I told you, Raspberry Pi is having four USB ports. And if we use these seven port USB hubs, we can attach seven ESP boards to it. And that will make a total of 21 boards to one Raspberry Pi. And if you are using lightweight IDEs like Thorny or MicroPython in the uh, shell mode, the usual MicroPython, not involving very heavyweight IDEs, then 20 users at a time won't be a problem as such. The only thing you will need is good internet connectivity to support these, and that's it. And a web server, a Linux server, as we have done with Atal.academy. So that is all that you need to log into it. And this is all that we have to offer for today. Log into the machine from the remote side and access the hardware here. So if you have any questions about that, or just since we have seen that, just change this command to, if you are using this directory. So I'm changing this and I will post it back to the repository from where you were downloading it. And I will say, and this command now stand change to this thing rather than -fn. I will see to, might be some configuration error in that. So this is how you will do it. And everything else written down here, step 3 and 4, these are all optional things. So it is only if you want to do that. They are not compulsory, but they are more secure. And uh, initially it's a little bit cumbersome to generate private and public key pair. But once you have done that, you don't need to enter password every time. You don't have to remember your password. And that's more secure way of communicating with your servers. So if you are professionally administering servers, or so you always do it like that. You set up your SSH keys rather than input password every time, which is prone to attacks, brute force attacks by the men in middle. They can trap your traffic and try to break the password. So SSH is fairly secure, but still, it's an added layer of security that will give you, because I will show you once you have a public server, how many people try to get into that server. Uh, you think that no one is watching your server, but I will just give you an idea about how many people would try to get into this. Sorry. Look, so these many attempts were made on this server since it went live on October 1st. These are all bad attempts to log in. People have tried different kind of username, Butter, Ansible. I mean, the service names which generally have user accounts. So people have tried all kinds of name, but if you are using SSH, you are secure. But people have done 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is why you shouldn't use these generic usernames and passwords, because there are people who are trying it. So on 2nd October, this many people tried to get into the server, and then these are all bad login attempts. The- These are all bad login attempts. So if you have any questions regarding that, you can ask me how to reverse SSH into the server, how to set up, and what equipments would you need. And otherwise, we will now end the session here. Okay, so no questions.